Hey everyone, John Gonzalez back here with another episode of our podcast and show. By all means, if you're not sure what by all means, well, just look it up. It's a line from a show, a popular, very, very popular musical. But you need to guess where that line comes from, or at least the part of the line. Maybe our guest knows. Danny Burgos is on the show with us right now. No idea. All right, well that's okay. It's a part of a line. So Danny, by the way, is in the musical Moulin Rouge, which is on national tour right now, being East Lansing coming up here April 2nd through the 14th of 2024. Danny, any guesses at all?
By all means.
By all means, it's a partial line to a very popular show by Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Oh, so it's either Hamilton or In the Heights.
Yeah, there's a scene from Hamilton where he tells is it Eliza, right? When they're on the dance floor when they meet, and he says, by all
Oh,
means,
yes.
very obscure line for a podcast. But anyway, thank you for being on the show. I know you're a Miami native, but you're in Charlotte right now with Moulin Rouge. How's the tour going?
Phenomenal. It's like been a dream of mine to be a part of this show ever since 2018 when they did the out of town in Boston. So it's a dream come true.
Right. Well, I know that you are busy on the road right now. This is like the first tour, right? Though the first tour of Moulin Rouge the musical.
Yeah, this is the first national tour. They were supposed to open pre-pandemic, and then pandemic shut the world down. So they opened up right after the pandemic, and it's been going ever since then.
Yeah, and going well from what I've been hearing. I know that it was also announced it's the part of the current season at the Wharton Center in East Lansing. Like I said,
Mhm.
it'll be there April 2nd through the 14th. But it was also announced for the next season of Broadway Grand Rapids in 2025. So I mean,
Mhm.
this show has legs. It's going to be around for a while.
It's got a life.
Well, let's catch people up to the life of Danny, because I know you play Santiago in the
Mhm.
show. So before we get into your role on the show, a little bit about you. Like I said, I know you're from Miami. I know that you're a registered nurse. I know
Yeah.
that you've had an interesting career so far. Tell us about you, where you grew up, and how you became a nurse and became in a musical tour.
Yeah, so I was born in Hialeah, Florida, which is like a small suburb of Miami in 1991. I graduated from Barbara Goldman Senior High School in 2009. And while I was in high school, much like young kids of that generation, my mom said that if I wanted a cell phone, I had to pay for it myself. So I got a job at Cold Stone Creamery. And back in that day, whenever we would get a tip, we had to sing a song. So I sang a ice cream version of My Girl, and the artistic director of the theater down the street just happened to be the man who tipped me. And he was casting for a production of She Loves Me, and he asked me if I wanted to be in a musical, and I said yes. So that's kind of where I caught the bug. I had a drama teacher in high school named Andy Quiroga, and he had a lot of faith in me. And he kept pushing me and pushing me and pushing me. Senior year, I applied everywhere for nursing. I got into Florida State University for nursing school. And one Thanksgiving, I went back home, got dinner with my drama teacher, Mr. Q. And he's like, Danny, why aren't you doing this? You love it so much. You're so good at it. Why aren't you doing this? So I auditioned for the musical theater program, got in at Florida State University, graduated in 2015. I went on tour with Beauty and the Beast, went on tour with On Your Feet, was on Broadway with On Your Feet, went on tour with the band's visit, and that's when the pandemic happened. So the pandemic shut everything down. I had to move back home to Miami. And one morning, my mom just told me, Danny, you have those nursing credits that you never finished. Why don't you just go ahead and do it? So I got a job at a hospital as a transporter. A nurse took me under her wing and really like mentored me. And I went back to school. I went to Columbia University, got my master's of science in nursing, worked for a year as a nurse. And then my agents called me and told me that I had an audition for Moulin Rouge. And the rest is history.
Wow, what a story. I mean,
Yeah.
you must be like, on one hand, you're like, okay, I'm gonna put this theater thing on hold and just concentrate on this. But maybe in a weird way, the pandemic kind of helped, right?
I mean, I hate to say it because it was like a mass casualty event and a lot of
Yeah,
people like lost loved ones and stuff like that. But I think I always make the joke that I wish social media just like turned off for a year. It would give the world such perspective. I think that's what happened to me. COVID turned off my profession for a year and a half. It just like it didn't give me any other options. And it gave me that moment to like just take a deep breath and look around and be like, wow, what am I doing? What am I going to do? And it kind of just gave me perspective on the world around me. And thankfully, I was able to take action at that time. So, yeah.
Wow, yeah, that's what a great story. And now you're on this tour, and was it or how has it gone so far? I mean, being on the road, because it's a little. I mean, you have been doing this before, but being on the road with the national tour is different.
Yeah, it's really hard. This is my fourth national tour, but it is very different because it comes post-pandemic. So the world has changed. And I think the last time I was on the road was 2019, 2020. And the world has quite literally changed. We don't have opening night parties anymore. We can't socialize the same way that we used to. And so the world has changed and I've had to change along with it. So the first 6 months, I'm only 6 months into my year contract with Moulin Rouge, but the first 6 months has been a huge learning curve. I've had to relearn how to exist on the road, keep myself healthy, keep the people around me healthy. So it's been difficult, but again, all of these like difficulties make me a better person. And I think I'm able to gain perspective and kind of pivot. So I'm really thankful.
I know that folks love Moulin Rouge. The movie was a huge hit. The musical won all these awards, all these Tonys, right, including Best Musical.
Mhm.
And it's the tour as people are looking forward to. But if you haven't seen, if you didn't go to New York to see the tour back when it was out, right, or the show when it was out, and you only know the movie, this version, the national tour, is a little different. It's an updated, right? Got some changes to it. And then Santiago, your character, I mean, you're dancing, right?
Yeah. I like to say that it is everything that people love about the movie with a couple, updates. So we do the story just like it's told in the movie with a couple shifts. So like in the movie, Satine wants to be an actress and she wants to get away from the Moulin Rouge. In our version, Satine is very happy at the Moulin Rouge and she wants to make sure that it stays open so that her and her friends can continue having work. And that's like the biggest shift, I think. But everyone is still the same. Santiago, he's not narcoleptic like he is in the movie, but all the highlights are there. We're still doing a very heavy dancing production during Roxanne. We're opening Act 2 with a big song and dance number that has Bad Romance by Lady Gaga, Sweet Dreams by the Eurythmics, and Toxic by Britney Spears. We took everything that people love from the movie and we just modernized it a little bit so that it can be receptive now.
I heard too. It's like sensory overload. I've heard that it's a nonstop show.
Yeah, I call it a feast for the senses. There is always something to be looking at, listening to. Like you can tell that everyone on stage is just like really submerged in this world that is just full of sensory overload. So it's really cool for the audiences.
I guess this is an obvious question, or you're going to give me an obvious answer. Why do you love it? I mean, not everyone is a Moulin Rouge fan, but I think once you go, you're like, okay, now I get it.
I think the reason I fell in love with Moulin Rouge is because I took a friend who had never seen a musical before. And he was like, wow, that's what musical theater is. I have to come to more of it. And it's because he knew all the songs. He was like, oh, I didn't know that this story could be told with music that I listened to on the radio. And I think that's what I love about our version of Moulin Rouge. You don't have to be a musical theater aficionado to come and enjoy it. You have to just come with an open mind, open heart, and just have a good night listening to some great music and a fun story.
Yeah, and I would imagine too. I mean, the choreography I heard is wonderful.
Oh, it's superb. It is just groundbreaking and really just like mind-boggling. I don't know how these dancers do it 8 times a week. I do like a light version of everything that they do, but they are going in 8 times a week and they are just reaping the benefits. That audience reaction at the end of Bad Romance, at the end of the musical, it's unmatched.
Yeah, well, great. Well, I'm sure we'll hear Lady Marmalade too, right?
Oh yeah.
That's not going away.
Never.
Never, never. Any last thing you want to leave people or let them know if they're coming out to the show, or maybe they've seen it before or never seen it before? Anything you want to pass along to them?
I like to tell people that this is not like a regular musical where you have to sit and pay attention. We really encourage people to like get vocal within reason, be loud with us, cheer along with us. It's not one of those musicals where you have to sit with your fingers crossed and really pay attention. We want you to really interact. We want you to like have fun while you're at the theater because we really want it to feel like you are at the Moulin Rouge. During this 2.5 hours, you are a patron of the Moulin Rouge. So really just, come and be ready to have a good time, whatever that means to you.
Well, Danny, I love it. I can't wait to see the show. One last thing I always ask all you when we talk about theater and you're on the road is what is one thing that I can look at during that 2.5 hours that you, like a little insider tip that you can give me and you say, oh, when this happens, this is going on. Or look for this, kind of like one thing to look for in the show that you might miss.
One thing that you might miss.
Yeah, you kind of like, wow,
It's
I didn't know they did it this way or whatever. Like a
oh,
behind the
so
scenes. Yeah.
okay. During Backstage Romance, which is the top of Act Two, we do this little section called the Gauntlet. And it's because so much is happening dance-wise that you might miss that downstage left, house right, Christian is full on doing a back tuck. Like he fully does an assisted back tuck. And I think people miss it. And it's a very impressive piece of choreography. So during Backstage Romance, there's what is it? It's during oh man. I'm trying to think of the lyric for people to look at, but at the very least, look house right. Look downstage left. You will catch Christian doing a full-on back tuck, and it's impressive.
Awesome, awesome. April 2nd through the 14th, 2024, Wharton Center, East Lansing, whartoncenter.com for ticket information. Danny, if people wanted to follow your career, because I know that you're active doing a lot of things, what is your website? Because I know you have one.
So I'm active at dannyburgos.nyc and also on Instagram and all social media platforms at Danny Burgos. So just switch the first and last initial.
I like it. Thanks for your time. It's really good talking to you.
Of course, my pleasure. Thank you.
We'll see you.
Hey.